Last night, I finally got to watch Francis Ford Coppola's baby, Megalopolis. Now, this has been a decades-long passion project for the famed director of The Godfather. He's been trying to get this project off of the ground since, I believe, the 80s. It's been stopped, it's been stalled ever since then. He finally forked up the $120 million that it was going to take by selling part of his winery. And I think it says a lot about a creator whenever they want to fork over their own fortune in order to make what they really want. Now, the reception coming out of the Cannes Film Festival was that this movie was chaotic. It was a very mixed reception, so I went into this with tempered expectations. At the end of the day, I wanted to see the artist perform his passion project and do it well, but nothing could have prepared me for what I sat through last night. This movie is truly awful. Believe me, I wanted to like the movie because of all the reasons that I just listed. Anytime you have an auteur filmmaker, Francis Ford Coppola, who's going down in the history books as one of the best to ever do it, he's made 3 or 4 of the greatest movies ever made 50 years ago, but there's simply no excuse for making a movie this incoherent. Now, I look at movies similar to how I look at music in that there's a certain rhythm and flow, and if you aren't able to balance the two the right way, then the movie can come across as awkward, and that's the last thing you want, an awkward movie. It felt so many times while watching this movie that they just slapped a bunch of scenes together that Coppola wanted to include, which, you know what? It's his movie, but it's also his fault if it ends up not making any sense. There really is no rhythm, there's no flow, scenes just kind of happen. One tone is set in one scene and then it is completely lost in the next one. The dialogue is awkward throughout the movie, and I understand that this is supposed to be sort of an out there version of the world, kind of combining ancient Rome with 70s New York City, you know, somewhere meeting in the middle there. But my God, what people say in this movie, their actions, they just make no sense at times. Now, sometimes whenever I watch a movie, I feel like there are scenes missing where it doesn't quite explain other things that we see in the movie. But then in other films, I feel like there are scenes that could be cut out that they have no use of being there. I have never seen a movie that simultaneously does the two. Megalopolis does that. There are so many scenes he could have just cut out that are not necessary here, that are just filler. They don't even lead to anything. There was one specific scene that's in the trailer with Shia LaBeouf and his goons entering a bank that literally goes nowhere. Right whenever you think the plot is gonna pick up, it just doesn't. Like a scene's missing, but they decided to include a different one. It doesn't flow well at all. And the movie constantly just glosses over major plot elements. The primary conflict of this movie is between Adam Driver and Giancarlo Esposito's characters, and they are literally building this up the entire film, and then it's just like, I don't want to give away the plot of the movie in case you guys want to go see it, but it is completely glossed over at the very end. It isn't satisfying at all, and there's no active build-up there. They had an opportunity to build up how that conflict ends up getting resolved, but like the scene before it gets resolved, or a couple scenes before, it doesn't look like it's going to, or shows no signs of that happening. It makes no sense. The movie just constantly changes what it's about. Watching the trailer after the movie, the trailer is more coherent in building up a plot and telling me what this movie is about than the movie itself. It changes its plots far too many times, and to the point where it just doesn't make sense. And you're watching a collection of scenes by a talented filmmaker and a talented crew and a talented collection of actors that are all wasted. I'm not a viewer that needs to have everything explained to me, so don't get me wrong, I'm okay with some things being vague, but there are things in this movie that need to be explained to the audience, like how can Adam Driver stop time? What is this device on the poster in the trailer that is never seen beyond one scene? Like the little blip of it you get in the trailer, it's on the poster. That little blip in the trailer is literally all of its scenes in the movie. I don't know what that thing is. And it's not really explained what this new element that he discovered is. Like, you don't have to explain everything, but whenever it comes to our main character, we need to know things about his past. And, like, it's only going to make it a more thick character, someone that's more fleshed out that we can buy into. Instead, we're just told he can do this and given nothing else. And he is kind of a bland character. He doesn't really show much emotion, but then randomly they say that he's a womanizer, and then we get a insane scene where he's like doing drugs, drinking, gets beat up. It's like that's not the character that you set up for the movie up to this point. I don't know who any of these people are. What quite possibly might be the worst part of this movie is the constant narration throughout. I think Coppola only casted Lawrence Fishburne because he has a booming, good voice. I got so tired in this movie of them spelling everything out to me with the narration that was completely unnecessary. It completely defeats the old show not tell version, or I guess component of filmmaking. You know, don't tell me what you want me to get out of this movie. Show me what this character is feeling. I don't need them to tell me I'm mad or I hate that guy. Let their actions, let the actors act. There are so many talented actors in this movie. Let them do their thing. I guess with that in mind, I'll just go ahead and touch on the performances, and they're just as awkward as the rest of the movie, so I can't really blame the actors for it. They were reading the words on the script. They were fulfilling Coppola's weird vision for this movie. The only actor that I felt like her character was basically the same throughout the movie, and I actually liked her performance because it was more, she felt like a human being, was Kathryn Hunter, who probably none of you know. Like, out of all of these big name actors, Kathryn Hunter was probably the best performance in this movie. I don't like dogging on legendary actors, okay? There are some actors in this movie that didn't need to be in this movie, if you know what I mean, where they may just not have it anymore, respectfully, and it felt like Coppola wanting to do a movie with his buddies at the end of the day, which, you know what, if it's your movie, you can cast whoever you want, but if the performance doesn't stack up to their name, the movie's gonna falter for that. And like I said, these actors are capable of being great. I've seen literally all of them be great before, but the movie, its editing and its script did them absolutely no favors. The effects are also terrible in this movie. $120 million, unforgivably bad effects. The best ones are the moving statues that, again, are in just one scene. They don't really play into the plot at all. It's not even explained how those things work, like why they're moving. It's probably some deep plot theme that I didn't catch because the movie's incoherent, but whatever. The best thing that I can say about this movie is that it is ambitious, okay? I respect that Coppola put up his own money to fulfill his vision. Okay, he swung for a home run. The team here swung for a home run that, if this crazy, insane movie worked, it's legendary. But the thing about swinging for a home run is that sometimes you strike out. And this movie, unfortunately, struck out for me. Now, to this movie's credit, nobody got on their phones. I didn't hear anybody talking outside of laughing from how awkward some of the dialogue and scenes were. But I did see 4 people in front of me just walk out randomly throughout the movie. I take no pleasure in saying this whenever I give this movie a score of literally half of a point out of 10. This movie's terrible. It's incoherent. There was a good movie to be had here, but it's just an unmitigated disaster. Okay, have you guys seen Megalopolis? What are your thoughts on the movie? Leave me a comment down below. I am gonna go on a walk. Bye.